Hi guys and gals, this is Alex from A&R Design, and today we're going to review the MCX SURG. So we did a video on the LaRue SURG. That was LaRue's submission for the SURG program for the U.S. Army SOCOM contract. This is the upper receiver that SIG put together for the contract that ended up winning the contract. We're going to shoot the MCX SURG in how it was meant to be delivered to the customer, which is what I'm holding right now. And I'll give you some tips and tricks to get it to work and run on MCX lower receivers. And we will also run it full auto on a MCX converted machine gun, but we'll have to do a little switcheroozy on some of the internals to get it to work, because ultimately the SURG platform really shined, at least in the LaRue, on full auto. It just was an absolute monster. So we want to do a similar plug and play, do a little side-by-side slow-mo, and we will also be talking about burn guards, because probably the greatest topic of conversation with the SURG program is the burn guards. This burn guard is actually bolted to the suppressor. There are 3 screws that screw into the suppressor itself, and there's many points of contact at the rear of the burn guard where the suppressor mounts to the rifle. The difference between the MCX burn guard and the LaRue burn guard is the LaRue burn guard is specifically built into the handguard itself, so it's a free float, and it does not make any contact with the Tranquillo suppressor. It is made out of aluminum and has a quick disconnect feature. This burn guard does not have a quick disconnect feature, and it is bolted to the can, and it does contact the can. Now, I believe the Army requirement was 210 rounds in 7 minutes, where the burn guard is contacting military issued uniform clothing. So if it touches your leg with military clothing, it will not inflict a serious burn. Now, from our last video with the LaRue, I was able to put 6 mags full auto through it and still touch the burn guard. The burn guard itself was not hot. There was radiant heat coming from the can. So if you held your hand long enough there, you would get burns from the heat that's actually radiating off of the can. But the burn guard itself worked really, really well. Allegedly, SIG had they accomplished the requirement, 210 rounds, not burning through clothes. After 1 mag through this gun, this thing is scary hot already. I can't imagine 5 mags in 7 minutes. So I did bring gloves today. We'll get somewhat close to that. And I'm wearing the Magpul Patrol leather gloves, and we'll see if I can touch it. I'm afraid to touch it because it is contacting the can. 3 points of contact here at the front. It's got these little nipples on the back that touch the can. Not all of them are 100% touching, but it's still scary. I've got some friends in SOCOM that receive these rifles and upper receivers, sorry. They removed all 3 screws. They use these as a great pencil pen holder on their desk when they're doing admin work. They don't even bother with the burn guard. This is an SLX can. It's marked SIG SLX. It's a 5.56 can. It's a little bit different than the commercial cans, where the commercial cans have some more ports at the end. This one doesn't. It's got a tighter port grouping around the ID of the can where the projectile comes out. A little bit of a nozzling effect out there. Slightly different can, but ultimately similar insides from what I'm aware of. Everything in the SIG upper receiver is tan. It's really pretty. I mean, even down to the screws on the knuckle back here for the SIG stock, it's all Tano, DLC. It's 50 shades of flat dark earth, if you want to call it that. Great account on Instagram, by the way. We decided to put it on a Radian ADAC lower receiver. We have a dye-free coat grip. We sell these on our website. We just got the colors in. This is a great New Hampshire company with some great folks that run it. It's a little bit more vertical grip. I do like a more vertical grip in a short gun. Getting around barricades, having a vertical grip allows me to throw the gun over the shoulder and get it back into position more comfortably. We have a Neomag Sentry strap here. We do carry these on our website. Our A&R Link Light sling. This sling was actually born because we submitted our slings on the Spear program with SIG a couple of years ago. So we did our slings very compliant, ultra lightweight, because we wanted to hit a price for SIG as well as the weight requirement for the Spear program. We didn't ultimately win, but we were real close. Again, it gave us an opportunity to break into the sling market and do something for ourselves. MSRP, I believe, is about $4,300. They're releasing 500 pieces. Again, it comes with the stock, the rear adapter kit here. Comes with extra parts, the bolt carrier group, the whole upper receiver, the suppressor, and an extra handguard, all in a nice Savior case. You're in a Knights Armament Cannon upper receiver ballpark, and I like the SIG SLX cans better than the Knights cans, and I do prefer the SIG upper receivers to the SR15 stuff in terms of adjustable gas and modularity. Now this is a cloner boner. This is like, and I didn't do this correctly, this would have been going on a Colt lower receiver. And the other thing is, you'll notice it's got this little end cap here to the bolt carrier group. It's a little dog bone. Normal MCX bolt carrier groups don't have this, but it was an Army requirement to have a bolt carrier, like upper receiver, that just doesn't marry back onto an MCX lower receiver. Not sure why, but it exists. This adapter that goes onto the lower back here is shorter by like 3 millimeters than the normal AR-15 adapter kit that's on our full auto. I am running a G trigger in this, so I did have to put a G latch because this is a MCX Virtus style bolt carrier group. If you plan on running it with a Geisley trigger in your lower receiver, you're gonna have problems, and G latches are almost impossible to come by these days for Virtus bolt carrier groups, so you will have to run more of like a mil-spec based trigger. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. I like how everything's matchy-matchy, and I wanted it to be matchy-matchy for this configuration, but we will swap bolt carriers and run it on a full auto receiver for most of this video. But I just wanted to show everyone what it looks like in its final form. That's how I like it. And this is the Romeo 4 XT Pro from SIG. It is a great night vision optic. We have it on our very own Anvil Ukon 193. Surefire light, mod light switch. We sell those on our website. Anyway, let's get to shooting these. We'll run semi-auto through this, swap to the full auto, put a lot of rounds full auto through it, and then compare it to the LaRue. I'm running M193 55 grain NATO ammo with both guns, so we'll be able to stay super consistent. One thing I really like about the MCX can compared to the LaRue is this does sound like a silencer. It's still, I think this can's quieter than the commercial SLX 556C because it's kind of an intermediate length. It's not the 556C length and it's not the full length. It's kind of in the middle, and it doesn't have all the ports on the end cap. So it does have a little bit more back pressure. We're running it in the minus gas setting right now, and you'll see right where it says 556 NATO around the gas block, there's some blow by. That's pretty standard on MCXs. They do have blow by and they eventually seal up with carbon. I'm actually gonna switch this over to the full auto lower receiver because we can shoot this all day long in semi-auto, but really the heat mitigation, yeah, that burn guard's hot as already. Like, yeah, you can't, no, There's no way that 6 magazines through this gun in 7 minutes is safe to touch a human leg with a pant. Kind of call bullshit on that. I don't know what temperatures, ambient temperatures they were testing, and it is hot today, but I'm probably gonna put a glove on and switch this over. So this is the bag that it comes with. We have our handy dandy full auto lower receiver. I believe this bolt carrier will work just fine. This is the Spear LT 11 5-inch bolt carrier group. It's the same exact bolt carrier. Well, it's a little different. That one's a Virtus bolt carrier group. This one's the new SLX bolt carrier group. So it has a little bit different end to the bolt carrier where the hammer meets up. The hammer latch and all that stuff's different. So another thing to note right here, the Radian charging handle these were designed to go on old school Colts. So you can see the cutaway here for the Colt style bolt release, which is right here on the LaRue. And the LaRue is very shielded. And we're running a Noveske N4. Now the nice thing about this one, because the ADAC from Radian is so big, it actually closes and drops the bolt carrier perfectly and doesn't actually have to go into that shrouded window. I almost preemptively cut the Radian to fit this, but I'm happy I didn't have to. So we'll punch this apart. And you can see on the upper receiver, there's a little bit of a witness mark from where the Radian's touching it, but I'm gonna beat the out of it anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. But we'll swap over to the full auto control group that we have here. But first, because this is what we were talking about earlier, we'll set it up. So if you look, the receiver wants to close, but because of this dog bone, because of the dog bone on the back of the MCX SURG bolt carrier group, it won't close on the converted AR-15 lower receiver. And then this is the G latch. It's marked with a G. And this is the Virtus style bolt carrier group where the latch sits right over the firing pin. So you do have to take this out. I haven't actually tested this bolt carrier group yet. You can see how it's got a sprung latch back there. It doesn't have the old school latch that goes over the top. It's got a piece of sheet metal here that closes over the back. I haven't tested it. I think they are full auto rated, so we will find out. So this is how you have to set it up with a different bolt carrier group if you want to run it full auto. And we wanted to talk about this in this video because a lot of people have hit me up in some of the gun groups I'm in asking like, hey man, what's it gonna take to get this thing set up? Because I want to shoot it as soon as I get it. If you want to do clone correct, I recommend just running a mil-spec trigger on a Colt or a normal M4 style lower. Otherwise, you'll get into issues like I've got because I'm running G triggers. And then this is a full auto Geisley trigger group as well. Question's gonna come up, what ear pro am I wearing? I'm wearing Invisio. It's a Danish company. Met them at Soft Week. We're doing some projects with them for communications equipment. But they sent me a communications and ear protection package to demo. They sent 2 pairs of earbuds. You smush them into your head. You can hear a fly fart from 1,000 yards away. Not really, but it's amplified natural sound. And if a bird was to get up right now, like I bird hunt a lot, if a bird was to get up right now, I'd be within 10 degrees of the location of the bird. It is wired ear pro, and I'm really enjoying it today because I usually run my OpsCore amps, which are really nice. They're battery powered. They have the in-ears that talk to the outer ears, so I got double protection when I'm shooting loud stuff. The cups on these Invisios sit much deeper, like my ears are much deeper into the cups, so I get a better seal. It is wired. So I have a push-to-talk module back here. I've got two inbounds, so I can hook up my cell phone to COM1 with one of their cables into an aux. It's a 3.5 millimeter into a 3.5 millimeter receiver into a USB-C and plug my phone in. And then I can run COM2 and run a radio, and I can switch between what COM settings, get phone calls, listen to music, and also have a radio on board as well. The plugs, everything they have on this is nice. It's a CR123 Alpha. This clip is set up for Molly. So their stuff is specific to like wiring on gear, like on equipment. But I wanted to run the over ears today and get some round counts on them. And I'm really enjoying them. They're not crushing my head. You can't disconnect the communications microphone, which is fine. But it's a sweet kit, and I'm excited to run them. It runs. Had a failure to feed. Round got smushed. Could be magazine related. All right, a couple malfunctions with that magazine. It's starting to make hot suppressor noises. I'm basking in its heat right now. So that was 3 mags full auto, 2 mags semi-auto, and the handguard without gloves is getting to the point where it's too hot to touch. Please don't burn me. That's 5 mags in 7 minutes. We're about 7-8 minutes. We're about 1 mag short. These are thick leather gloves. I can touch it for a second, but just a second. I can't put any pressure on it. It will burn. It'll actually hurt me. So 1 more mag would get you to the point of heat soak close to 7 minutes. So almost the Army test. That's a new magazine, failure to lock to the rear. One thing to note, this is an old school buffer in here. The plastic buffer that is in this receiver is the old one for the MCX LVAW 300 blackout guns. So it might be having those issues with lockback because the rubber buffer back here is much different from the one that's in. This receiver, you can see the BCG. So that has a cone-shaped buffer in the adapter cup, and the bolt carrier will kiss over that cone as it goes to the rear. When we pull it back apart, the buffer, the rubber buffer bushing that's in the back of this receiver is the old school straight cut. So the whole bolt carrier is hitting it. It's not getting cupped into it. I don't know if you could hear it, but it's making twinkly sounds. The can has changed to a different color of brown. I mean, I can hold my leather palm to it for, 3 seconds. So maybe it does hit the Army requirement for pants. Like a Cry G3, I can imagine that touching you for a second. I'm sure the radius where it's bolted to the can is much hotter than the center area. It is nice because, you know, it's got flow, airflow going to it, but this does nothing for Mirage. So if you are running an LPVO on this gun, this is not gonna help you. That was 6 magazines through it. The only issues that we had with it are definitely receiver related, maybe a little bit magazine related. Short stroke and then plowing the bullet into the receiver face. I'm sure on semi-auto it's fine. So that's full auto with it. Woo! It is. Even on minus gas with 55 grain, it's gonna shoot a little faster than the LaRue. It does still feel a hair over gassed. This can has a little bit more back pressure than I'd say the SLX 556C cans. So it's pretty quick. Way softer shooting. A little bit slower rate of fire by 1,000th of a second. The LaRue has a heavier barrel. It's a heavier upper receiver. That entire MCX in its form is sitting around 8.13 pounds. This in its final form, no mag, is about 9.25 pounds. So on the receiver of the Surge, compared to the width of the ADAC from Radian, you can see how much shoulder of the upper overhangs the lower receiver, but the lower receiver still eclipses both the roll pins that hold the sear trip in place as well as the torque screw that holds the brass deflector in place. So you still have that level of protection. I did stake my roll pins for the sear trip compared to some of my other MCX receivers, the pin holes for the sear trip in this Surge, they felt a little bit larger tolerance, like it wasn't as much of a press fit. They slid in pretty easy, not a lot of force to drive those pins in. So I did stake them just so they don't fall out and I don't lose a sear trip or have a catastrophic malfunction. This thing is screaming hot. Anyway, it's an MCX. It's a cool upper receiver. It's a limited edition run to 500 pieces nationwide. It's pretty rad. Happy to have the opportunity to own both SOCOM Army submission surge guns, upper receivers, the LaRue and the MCX. So thanks for SIG for letting us know that these were gonna go on sale so we could pre-order one. It's like over a year ago. But yeah, it's a super cool piece of history. It's nice to own two pieces of history from two very legendary gun companies. And I'm gonna have an absolute blast beating the living crap out of this gun. I might switch over to the the Slimline handguard and enjoy myself. So thank you so much for watching, and please like, subscribe. The channel's growing quick. Share it with your friends. We appreciate it. And please tell us in the comments which one you would choose if you had the choice between the LaRue Surge or the SIG MCX Surge. Thanks for watching.